Morning everyone, and welcome back to the vlog, and welcome to the first signs of autumn. And I thought what a great opportunity to share with you 5 of my favourite best tips to help you elevate your autumn photography. So I'm in the Cairngorms National Park, and it really is a beautiful autumnal morning. But I've come down to this wee lochen, and what a surprise. So I've come down, and right across the other side of the lochen there is a heron, and he's just nestled in amongst some of the reeds, and with that beautiful backwash of colour behind him in the reflections. And I've been shooting away. Now, I'm not a wildlife photographer, so for me, taking as many shots as possible is key here, really. I want to capture some of that vibrant colour, those trees, but I also want him in my image. So before I started filming, I made sure I got some shots just in case he flew away, but he really does seem to be nestled in there. So let me show you what I'm looking at on the back of the camera. You can see that we've got the beautiful heron there just on the left-hand side. And he's just nestled in there amongst some of those reeds. And we've got these beautiful silver birches that are just to the right there with that lovely splash of colour. Now, I actually came down here to take a panoramic shot of this beautiful set of trees with the backdrop here. But of course, the heron caught my eye. And I thought, right, got to get a shot of him first. So anyway, we'll take that image, and then I'm going to set up for a panoramic shot. Maybe the heron will still be there. Maybe he'll be in that image as well. But we know we've got that image in the bag. What a great start to the morning. And well, now let's set up and see if we can get that nice, beautiful, sweeping panoramic view. So that's the mad panic over of capturing the heron there. I've taken lots of images, so hopefully there's something there that's nice and sharp. The nice thing about photographing herons is they do stand very still, which is quite fortunate. But anyway, what an added bonus it was. So now what I'm trying to do is get a beautiful panoramic view of this beautiful backdrop of autumnal colour. So I've got the camera, I'll show you on the back of the camera. I'm just starting on this left-hand side. We've got this group of trees. There's some beautiful greens, yellows and golden oranges just nestled in the back there. And then I'm just sweeping around as we go past the heron to the next set of trees, which are just on the right. over here. We've got some beautiful birches with a splash of colour. I'm going to be removing all of that sky because it's just way too bright. So really I'm just honing in on this beautiful set of trees with the reflections below. Let's start with tip number one, and that is to get to know your trees. Different types of trees change colour throughout the different times of autumn. We've got your silver birches that are the first to change, and we get those beautiful splashes of yellows and golden colours. And then later on in autumn, that's when the beeches and the oaks start to change, and you get those beautiful coppery colours from the beeches. So if you know your area and you know your tree types, then you can make the most of your autumn photography. Now I'm just setting up my second shot. We've got the beautiful panoramic view of these trees, but what I really like are these grasses sweeping around, and then we've got this backdrop of beautiful yellows and greens. So I'm going to get a nice portrait shot. We're capturing the reflections. Again, I've got the polarizer on, so I'm just knocking back some of that light. I'm punching out some of the colour. And that really brings me on to tip number two, and you often hear me mention it, but tip number two, use a polarizer. In this light with these colours, the polarizer really helps to punch out those colours, knock back the reflections. And if you've had some rain, it also helps to knock back some of that bright reflection on the leaves as well. So polarizer filter, a must for these types of conditions. You can see the effect that the polarizer has on my image here. You can see that as I turn it, how it really does knock back those reflections in the water, but also brings out the saturation and colour in those beautiful trees behind. So I've just come across my next scene, and got these beautiful sort of birches here, but are absolutely dripping in lichen just coming off of the branches here. And then we've got this sort of splash of yellow colour where some of these trees have still got a few leaves on them, and it just gives us this nice wash of colour in the backdrop. I've come round to sort of separate them as much as I can. There's a wee rock just in between the trees here, but it's a beautiful little composition, and I really like just that real hint of autumn colour just up on my top left there. So anyway, let's take the shot. It's really quite amazing how the colour just really transforms the woodland and the forest area. I've been up through here like quite a few times throughout the year, and you know, I've just walked through and nothing really caught my eye because the trees are kind of quite barren and bare, but you throw in a splash of colour, and places that I've walked through so many times are now just these stunning scenes, and just those splashes of colour seem to make all the difference. And I'm looking around now, absolutely sort of running about, trying to make sure that I don't miss a shot, and what a difference that splash of colour makes. So I've just walked past this beautiful scene here, which is this lovely silver birch just on its own, sat in amongst that bracken, and the bracken's really sort of got some colour to it, where it's turned in some areas and we've got that beautiful coppery colour, but then there's still some hints of green. And I like the surrounding trees either side with their sort of wispy branches coming in, but I think actually just the birch on its own makes a beautiful, nice shot. The light's quite harsh behind there, so I'll play about, see if the polarizer will knock back some of that reflected light, and then maybe get a shot as well with the two trees either side. But I do think that it's that singular, beautiful birch in the middle there that is the image. So anyway, let me set it up and have a look through the camera. Okay, so I'll show you what I'm looking at on the back of the camera. Now, I'm not sure how this one's going to come out because the light is almost directly behind my image now, behind the tree. But you can see those beautiful bracken colours that are just below the foot of the tree there, which really punch in some colour. And then we've got those speckles of yellow leaves coming from that singular tree, which I think really just adds a little softness to the image. But with that light behind, there's going to be some strong contrasts. So I think it's going to be one of those images that I'm not really going to know until I get it back on the computer. But anyway, here's the shot. Now I've just brought the camera around a little bit to the left to bring in some of these branches from a tree just on the left hand side there, which I really think helps to just fill that space. You can see before I was just shooting, mainly focusing on the silver birch, but just by spinning the camera around just slightly, I'm able to just bring in some of these beautiful dark twisting branches from the other tree on the left there, which I really think helps to fill in that gap. So take another couple of shots. Now, tip number 3 is don't be put off by overcast days. That cloud can really help to diffuse the light and can give you that painterly feel to your images. It softens out those strong contrasts, and it's amazing how much light there really is in amongst the woodland once you start looking. Now I've come up to my second locken. This is the largest main locken, and you can see that beautiful splash of colour wrapping all the way around. And you do find that the trees that are closest to water or on the edge of woodland generally seem to be the ones that turn the quickest. So we've got these beautiful yellow, gold and silver birches all along the waterline here, and then we've got these reeds and grasses. Now I was worried a little bit that it was later on the winds picked up and I wasn't going to get the reflections, but actually these grasses are covering the water now anyway, so they're going to give a real interesting feel, and there's a little bit of wind capturing them. So my plan is to capture a nice sweeping panoramic view of these trees and then stitch them together later on in Photoshop. I'll show you on the back of my camera. So just looking on the back of the camera, you can see this is where I'm going to start with this group of trees on my left hand side here, and then I'm going to bring the camera around, probably take about sort of 5 or 6 images, just sweeping around, capturing those grasses and capturing that backdrop of trees. I'm going to really sort of crop in when I edit it in post, because I don't want any of that sky, but I do want to give myself plenty of room so that when I do crop it I don't lose any of that beautiful detail. Now, as I said, there is a little bit of movement in that grass which will be quite nice. It'll really help to soften it, and then there's some beautiful diffused light that keeps hitting the trees, which will really help to sort of soften the image. It's a little bit later in the day perhaps than I'd like. We haven't got that very early morning soft light, but and you can just see those leaves being caught by the wind, but again I don't mind that. I think it would just add a little bit of softness to the image. So anyway, I'll take these shots, stitch them together back on the computer, and here's the image. Tip number 4 is don't forget to look down. Sometimes we get so lost in some of the trees and the leaves that are going on around us that we have to actually forget to look at what's at our feet. And this stunning fungi that's got this real autumnal coppery colour to it, I could have easily walked straight on past and not noticed it. So always look down at your feet. So tip number 5 is to head out early morning, late evening if you want that really nice, soft, warm light to give your images that painterly feel. And also, you tend to get less wind early in the morning and late evening, which means you get more chance of capturing those reflections. Now, I've got a bonus tip for you. A good view doesn't necessarily make a good photo. Don't forget about composition, especially in autumn time when we're sort of bombarded with colour and light, sometimes we forget the most important thing, composition. We still need to think about what we're placing in our images and how that people will react to your photo. Well, I think that's it for this episode of the vlog. The sun's a little harsh now, the cloud's starting to go, and the light's a little bit too strong to get those soft autumn images that I'm looking for. But anyway, I hope those tips help you go out and take some stunning autumn images, and thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button so that you don't miss an episode, and give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next episode.